Hello moviegoers, Ezra here and welcome back to another Ezra review. And today we're going to be talking about this new movie called Abigail. It's no longer a new movie because this movie released on 2 weeks ago, last April, but it was recently released on my own country like today. I don't know why they decided to delay the release 2 weeks later, but alright. It's their decision. Okay, cool. But at least they released the movie because I was afraid that they might not release this movie. So I was glad they actually released it and I was able to watch this movie on theaters, because this movie was made by Radio Silence, the team behind Radio or Not, Scream 5 and Scream 6, which is like a really fun horror movie. So I think that's a really, really cool idea, where this guy managed to make a vampire movie, So I was really looking forward to this movie because it seems like a fun time. And it was a really fun time, man. Holy shit, So I'm walking away from this movie feeling super happy, So I think we're gonna be talking about the positive aspect about the movie, and of course the negative aspect about the movie itself, And I think here's the thing. I think I'm gonna do like a spoiler review here, because there is some third act and ending problem that I had, but also some really fun stuff that I have with the third act, So I think I want to talk more specifically about that elements, So it's gonna be a spoiler review, So if you haven't watched Abigail, then do not watch this review. Watch this movie on your theater. Support it, guys, please, because this movie only made 30 million in the box office with a 28 millions budget. So it's not a good thing right now. And the movie only made 30 million. Like, dude, this movie should make at least 100 million, more than 100 million, because I think it's just a really fun and really competently shot and directed movie, So I think it deserves more at the box office, So please go watch this movie if you haven't. Please, it's a really fun time. You're not going to regret, guys. Like, please, So anyway, we get that out of the way. Let's talk about the positive aspect about the movie, So first of all, the performance, I think, is everybody does an amazing job. But Melissa Barrera is amazing in this movie, and Dan Steven is having a blast in this movie, because I think his character are just like having so much fun in this movie, and also having so many turns in this movie, which we're gonna get to that later. And then there's some other character named Sammy and Peter, played by Catherine Newton and Kevin Durant, which also all of them are amazing, because these four are like the main character. But you also got some two characters as well, named Rickles, played by Will Catlett, and then you also got Dean, played by the late Angus Cloud, which I gotta say, Dean Angus Cloud character, again, no disrespect to the actor, because it's like he recently passed away. He might be my least favorite character, especially the way he speak, the way he just like have no enthusiasm. Like, I know he's supposed to be funny, but he might be the weakest character in this movie, man. Like, I'm so glad that Abigail decided to kill him earlier, because I'm just not really having a fun time with his character. The way he speaks, it was super slow. It was just not exciting for me, It's not funny. So again, no disrespect to Angus Cloud, because I think the guy did a wonderful job playing Dean, So there's that. But he is the weakest character, so I'm glad that Abigail decided to take him first in the movie. And of course, we gotta talk about the lady herself, Abigail, played by Alicia Ware. And I gotta say, she is the best part about the movie. I think she has the best performance in this movie because she's able to play two characters in one movie. Like, on one hand, she's playing a little girl, like a normal little girl that you might think that this is not a. If you haven't seen the trailer, then you probably wouldn't guess that this is a vampire movie, But the trailer spoiled that, so you kind of like wait for that reveal, And of course, the second character that is playing is obviously, the vampire herself, So I think the personality switch between the two of them are really amazing, Because I think Alicia Ware managed to differentiate these two different personality, and this felt like a two different character in a one body. So I think that's a really amazing job by Alicia Ware. So great job, lady. It's amazing. But of course we gotta talk about the gore. I think the gore in this movie is amazing. Because you get some vampire exploding, just like in Ready or Not. Like the final scene where the family got killed one by the curse. Well, this happened in this movie, except it's vampire, and then it was way more bloodier, which I think just like, damn, that's an amazing blood right there. So that's a really cool practical effect as well, So good job on that. There's also a fun scene with Catherine Newton, because like her character was bitten in the movie, and then Abigail decided to control Catherine Newton's character, Sammy, right? Because Sammy got bitten and turned into a vampire, so Abigail managed to control Sammy's body. And you get to see Catherine Newton and Alicia Ward decide to, like do the dance in the movie, which I think that, damn, that was super fun, man. Like, holy shit, like I think Catherine Newton also does a great job, like dancing frantically, as Abigail in a way. So yeah, it's overall it's a good performance by everyone, and every single scene in this movie was actually super fun to watch. However, there is a negative aspect about the movie. First of all, I want to talk about the marketing of this movie. Because I think the marketing of this movie is pretty tricky. Because I know that they have to reveal that Abigail is a vampire in the trailer, because that gets people to interest to see the movie. Because oh, it's a vampire movie. I want to see that. And I was like drawn to the trailer because of that. However, the movie was like kind of contradicting with the marketing, because the first 40 to 45 minutes of this movie is actually about a mystery, and like it's like a whodunit mystery. And I feel like it doesn't really do a great job in my opinion, because of the marketing, especially people who already seen the first trailer that Abigail is a vampire, but in the movie the character doesn't know that until like 45 minutes later. So you were just like waiting for Abigail to reveal herself as a vampire, and it was like it kind of like wasting time in a way, because like as an audience we already know that Abigail is a vampire, but the characters, they didn't know that, so they're just like making some question and answer themselves for like 40 minutes, and I'm just like, dude, like, can we get this going? Can we get Abigail turned into a vampire and have some the massacre going? So that's why I think the marketing and the first act of this movie is like the trickiest part, because I think Radio Silence must aware that they're trying to do like a whodunit mystery, and I feel like if you didn't watch the trailer, then yes, the Abigail reveal as a vampire is going to be amazing, because you don't know that's coming. But if you've seen the trailer, then you know that's coming, so you're just like waiting for that to happen. It's the same thing happened to me, and I'm just like, man, I'm just like waiting for this to happen, and I'm just like, didn't they so the plan was not to reveal Abigail as a vampire then, like immediately? So what if in the marketing they decided to show her as a vampire? Like I feel like there's a much better way to cut the trailer, where they show that something is wrong with Abigail because people are dying left and right because of her, but they don't show that she's a vampire in the trailer. And I think this would make a great mystery thriller trailer, for Abigail. I feel like that's how they should market the movie, but they didn't. So we left with like waiting for 45 minutes for Abigail to reveal herself as a vampire. But again, once she reveals herself as a vampire, then the movie becomes really, really fun to watch, guys. So it's a roller coaster from here on out, But besides that, I want to talk about the third act of this movie, because spoilers, of course, Dan Stevens' character Frank got turned into a vampire by Lambert. Lambert is the guy that put him there in the first place. And the two of them decide to work together, to take down Abigail and her father. However, Frank betrays Lambert, and Frank becomes a vampire, and then Abigail's came in, and then she says that, oh, like you tried to take down me and my father, huh? Okay, good job. But since Frank is a vampire, he's able to overpower Abigail, and the third act becomes so much different because Frank becomes the main villain in this movie, which I'm just like, whoa, okay, because here's the thing. For Abigail, obviously the movie is called Abigail, so Abigail is the main antagonist, and yes, for the most part, she is. Until in the end, where we kind of like side with Abigail and Joy to take down Frank, which is like the true main bad guy in this movie. However, I did have some fun time in that scene, but it doesn't really work thematically for storytelling, because like Frank character just like, when Frank turned into a vampire and become pure evil, that didn't really work for me, because it feels so jarring to see his turning like that, where he threatened to kill Joey's son, and I was like, damn, dude, like you suddenly turned to a psychopath out of nowhere, because I think Shiriko said that the movie tried to tell us that, especially Abigail tried to tell us that, oh, like this character name is Adam Barrett, and then he decided to leave his own family, not because he cared for his own family, he only cared for himself, so they're planting the seed that Frank is an egotistical guy and only care for himself. And maybe you can point several scenes that allude to that. However, I didn't really feel that Frank is an asshole character, like a bad character. Like I don't really get that vibe, And I feel like in the movie, I found Frank to be likable, to be honest with you guys. Until the turn in the end, which is like super jarring to see because throughout the entire movie, Frank was just okay, Like he's not an unlikable character. He's pretty likable for the most part until the end. So that's why it doesn't really work for him because I think the best way for them to do that, if they want to turn Frank into like an actual bad guy in the movie, then they should make Frank as a total asshole throughout the entire movie. That's what they should have done, Like we should root for Abigail throughout the entire movie to kill Dan Stevens' character Frank. Because sometimes in a horror movie you get several asshole and dick character basically, where we're just like waiting for, maybe Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, or Freddy Krueger to just kill them because we hate them, and you're like rooting for the serial killer, or the monster, right? So I think Dan Stevens' character should be that asshole character that we are actually rooting for to die throughout the entire movie, but they didn't do that, So it like the turn in the end doesn't really make any sense for me, and I feel like they decided to do that because they want the movie to have a punch in the end, like a twist in the end, and of course keeping Abigail alive, because obviously if you want to escape the place, then maybe you have to kill Abigail to survive, and try to find a way out. So they probably decide to include this twist so they can keep Abigail's alive, maybe, so yeah, the twist itself doesn't really work. However, the fight scene between Abigail and Dan Stevens' character and Joey was super, super fun to watch, So I think at the end of the day, even though like the twist doesn't really work, it does provide us with a good vampire versus vampire fight. And you know what? I'm having a fun time watching that. So, all right, at least I'm having fun, And I think the movie does leave an impression when I walk out of theater because of that third act. And before that as well, like everything is great, and I want to see it again, to be honest, So that's a good thing to do, And that's what I'm saying. It's a bit of a mixed bag, for me on the third act, because I think the twist with Frank doesn't make any sense. It was so jarring. However, it is still a fun fight. So, all right. I guess it's a win-lose at the same time, So, and of course, Abigail's death appear in the end, which I think is obviously Dracula, because he goes by many names. I kind of wish he's gonna say, I am Dracula, like I kind of wish he said that, but at the same time, I get it why they didn't, because I think it would be too on the nose, because I think the audience are smart enough to figure out that yes, Abigail's father are indeed Dracula. I think that's pretty much is obvious, So, yeah, that's a all right, it's fine, and I think it's a really fun reveal, in the end. So good job, by Matthew Good, which is the character that plays Abigail's dad. Got that Dracula vibe on him, So I think that's a really good job. Oh yeah, and at the end of the day, guys, I think that this movie is really fun, and I'm really hoping that people will go watch it on theaters, because again, this movie deserved to be successful, because I wanted a sequel to Abigail, and the movie kind of ends open-ended, where Melissa Barrera character are escaping, and then we get to we see Abigail and her father inside the house, So like it was open-ended in a way, and that is a huge way for Radio Silence team to expand the universe of Abigail, because I can imagine there is so many vampires out there. Maybe there is another mystical creature out there, like werewolf out there, So I think that could be really fun to see in the sequel, if they ever make one. So I'm really hoping that this movie are actually successful at the box office, because so far it only missed 30 million. It's nearly been a month, and then the budget of this movie was 28 million. Like, yeah, that's not enough money for the box office, guys. And I feel like this movie should at least make more than $100 million at the box office, So I'm really hoping that it was successful enough and has some cult following, I guess, because I want a sequel to this movie, man. Because if this movie wasn't successful, then I don't think Universal are interested to make more sequel for Radio Silence, because I'm pretty sure Radio Silence, even though they haven't really talked about the sequel to Abigail, I'm pretty sure they have some ideas for a sequel in their mind, because I think Abigail is a huge world out there, and we haven't seen any of them. So I think the sequel, it will be a chance for them to expand the world of Abigail, kind of like John Wick movie, to be honest. Like the first one was more self-contained storyline, and then the second one was like, boom, this is the world of the assassin, It's like, so like the sequel could be like, boom, this is like the world of the monster, the werewolf, the vampires, I think that would be really fun to explore that in a sequel. But anyway, guys, that's my review for Abigail. I think this is like a really fun movie. If you guys already watched the movie, then let me know in the comment section below. What do you guys think about this movie right here? And stay tuned for more Abigail video in the future, because I think the next one is gonna be my idea for the sequel to Abigail, because I think it will be a really fun topic to discuss. Because like I said before, I wanted a sequel, and I have several ideas. I guess you could say that, or I guess two ideas, that I want to talk about that on a separate video. So stay tuned for that, guys. And if you guys enjoy this review, then make sure you guys bite that subscribe and like button, guys, and share this video, the usual stuff. Stay tuned for more in the future, and again, I hope you guys enjoy this review, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.